Hey, it's Kevin here. Before we get into this episode, our next live show is December 13th, and we'd love to see you there. Christmas cheese and reindeer games. This mouth-watering evening of cheese tasting, festive music, holiday stories, and Christmas parlor games is not to be missed. And it's all in support of Babylon Migrants Project. Early bird tickets are available on Eventbrite until November 25th. You surface from the underground at Piccadilly Circus.
Mind the gap.
Making your way through the glittering lights of London's West End, you take a turn down a quaint-looking street into the notorious neighborhood of Soho, and you arrive at our intimate cafe. Welcome to The Big Smoke, a live-recorded variety show podcast. My name is Kevin Bennett. I'll be your guide through this experience of comedy, conversation, and community. In this episode, you'll hear the delightful sounds of Latin jazz from musician and composer Bob Morgan, alongside Colombian harpist Diego Laverde Rojas. We're also joined by author and journalist Jonathan Campion. He tells us about his book, Getting Out, the Ukrainian cricket team's last stand on the front lines of war. But first, it's time to play Stump the Room. Now, the 39th law in cricket, stumped. Being stumped occurs when a batsman steps out of their crease to play a ball, misses it, and the wicketkeeper catches and removes the bails before they can return to the crease. There are a variety of newspapers on each table, crossword puzzles in each one. Your job is to find the most difficult crossword puzzle clue that you think will stump the room. We'll give our audience 2 minutes to find their chosen crosswords, but for you listening at home, we'll skip right to the clue. Who's got a puzzle clue that they think no one will know the answer to? Who thinks that they can stump the room?
My name's Wendy. It's the Mail, and the clue is a film or piece of music that is a more modern version of the original, and it's 6 letters.
6 letters. Have you been stumped? You'll find the answer at the end of the episode. Today's episode is called The Better Part of Valour, inspired by the Ukrainian cricket team that you'll hear about in a few minutes. So, what does bravery mean to you?
Hi, I'm Sam. I think for me, the definition of bravery comes from having the principles to stick to something that you believe morally. So it's very easy to have moral views, but if you don't have to inconvenience yourself in any way to hold them, then they don't really count for very much. So the brave thing is when you act in a way that is in line with those principles.
My name is Simon, and for me, bravery means stepping outside your comfort zone. For me, that would be dancing in public.
My name is Jane Doyle, and bravery means to me doing things that frighten you and taking you right out of your comfort zone, or going places that take you out of your comfort zone, like Greek Street on a Saturday night.
My name is Irina, and I'm here as a representative of Ukraine Charity. Bravery is somebody who can overcome their own fears, whether it's mental fears, and when they can put themselves above, or can put others above themselves, and serve the needs of others, and others can be random people, it could be people that have no connection, or it could be the country, it could be any channel of sort of environment around, really.
Time to move on to our first guest. I've had a really good time reading his book for the last couple of weeks. Jonathan Campion writes about cricket in unusual places for the Wisden Cricketer's Almanac. He lived in Ukraine from 2007 until 2010, working as a translator and editor at international firms in Kyiv. He has written about Ukraine for Lonely Planet and other parts of Eastern Europe in several books and magazines, while his day job as an editor of the Times of Central Asia often takes him on travels in Central Asia. He lives in Norwich and plays for the wandering charity cricket team, the Metronomes CC. Please give a warm round of applause for Jonathan Campion. I did what I love to do, which is wander through a bookstore. I encourage everybody to do this, actually, not if you're hosting a show. You don't have to. You can just do it anyways, which is wander through a bookstore and go to a section that you wouldn't normally go through. So I don't know very much about Ukraine, but I know even less about cricket. And so when I saw this lovely book, Getting Out, the Ukrainian cricket team's last stand on the front lines of war, I thought this sounds really, really interesting. And fortunately was able to get in touch with Jonathan and bring him along. So I guess it's a very niche and specific topic. I mean, not normally people don't think of both of those things together. So I'd love to start by just asking you a kind of an open question. What brought you to writing such a specific book?
It kind of brings together two big parts of my life. So I've always played cricket, not well, but always played it as a hobby. And Ukraine has always been a really big part of my life. I live there, as you mentioned, and my work has kind of always been connected to Ukraine. And I came across this story and I was like, well, someone has to write this story about these really kind of unusual, brave, cool people. And I think it should be me. So what I think began as like, I can write an article about this, or, a little social media post, became kind of the outline for a book that I wrote. So
tell us about, so you lived in Ukraine for 3 years. What was that experience like? Tell us about the Ukraine that you know.
So I, as you've probably heard by now, just come from a very kind of upper middle class sort of home counties, white British village. So when I grew up, I wanted to kind of rebel a little bit and try and explore these parts of the world that not many people would think to visit or know about. And I think at that time, kind of Ukraine seemed the most kind of like exotic, exciting, different place I could imagine. I'd always loved the kind of sound of Slavic languages and their culture. So it was 18, 20-year-old me had the idea of the minute I finished university with no money, no plan, no place to live, just randomly applied for a job in Kiev. And it kind of worked out. I stayed for 3 years and that became a really big part of my life.
And cricket... when did that become a big part of your life?
It always has been, but never playing at a good standard. But cricket for me has always been like my friendship group. The last couple of years, it's also been kind of like a support system as well when things haven't been so good. So for some people who are great at sport, cricket can be a way to kind of, to excel and to be kind of, to play at a high standard. For me, it's always been just a great game that allows me to spend a Saturday, Sunday afternoon with 10 friends and kind of just get exercise at the same time.
I don't know if this was in another one. I can't remember if this was from the book or another interview, but I knew nothing about cricket, but I've been studying up the last couple. I wouldn't be able to play it, but I know some of it's a very complex game, actually. Do many of you play or know it at all? So I see some nods, some like no clue. I found it interesting studying all these they call them laws in cricket. And there's a lot of, because it's a very old sport. So what do you think is the most unusual part of the sport? Like if somebody here has no idea and has never played or never seen a game, what would be like the most unusual rule or aspect of the game?
I think when people start playing, they're amazed that you can't, like when you bowl, you can't bend your elbow. Right. So someone just playing, a small child starting playing cricket for the first time will be given a ball and go, right, throw that. And they'll throw it. And the coach will go, no, not like that.
So when you throw the ball, you're not allowed to bend your elbow.
Yeah, you don't like pitch. You have to keep your arm. Yeah.
That's an example, just in case.
But it also involves like you hit and you bowl and you do that, but you stand around or you sit around for most of the time. So there's an awful lot of like standing in a field, and which when Ukrainians, because in England we all hate that, right? And countries that play cricket, we want to bowl, we want to bat, we want to be involved, and we don't like just standing around doing nothing and just catching. But the Ukrainian guys, when they started playing, they loved to catch. And that was one of the ways that kind of Ukrainian cricket was different from in other parts of the world, that what we kind of didn't enjoy doing, even that they love doing.
So yeah, so then let's get into cricket in Ukraine, which specifically is a lot of what you talk about in the book. At one point you say that often cricket around the world is an expat sport. People from here or I guess part of the British Empire at one point will play cricket. But you say that's not the case in Ukraine. And what do you mean by that?
Well, that's like in places like England, if you are walking past the village park and you see guys playing cricket, you're like, okay, these guys are playing cricket, and it makes sense because you might have played at school or seen on TV. It's part of our culture. But in Ukraine, when first expats began to play, the local Ukrainians had no clue what this game was. All they saw was these foreign, dark-skinned guys yelling in a foreign language, throwing a ball around, like waving this bat in the air. So quite often the police would come and wonder whether they're having a fight or there's some kind of like disturbance they need to break up. So I've spoken to kind of one of the leaders of cricket who quite often had to bring his players out of police cells because they'd been brought in for swinging a bat around in a public park.
It wasn't because they bent their arm when they threw, was it? I've worked in India doing some teaching, and it's quite intimidating walking down the street when kids are playing cricket on the sidewalk, which happens a lot. I was very just flying balls in my direction was intimidating.
So in parts of the world where cricket is not so popular, I think local people just tend to kind of like look the other way, that they don't want to know, that they don't get involved. What made Ukraine so unique was the Ukrainians really wanted to find out what was happening, and they kind of walked to the games and asked to join in themselves. They wanted to learn it themselves. So kind of that makes Ukraine unique in the way they wanted to.
So in the book, you tell the story of how cricket sort of was founded in Ukraine. And tell us about who were the founders of cricket in Ukraine?
So
there's two people you talk about in the book.
I think if people here maybe imagine what Ukraine might be like, the images of everyone is Slavic, European, there's not much kind of diversity. But actually, Ukraine has always had quite a large international population. There's always been students arriving from Africa, Asia to study because universities are very good. So the first cricketers in Ukraine were guys who'd arrived from places like India, Pakistan, who I guess arrived in Ukraine and they felt a bit of homesickness, didn't right away speak the language, didn't know how things were. And I think to fend off homesickness, they got together to play games of cricket. So cricket's kind of origin story is that it's guys from mainly India who arrived in Ukraine and just as a way to kind of connect again with home and see their friends, they began to play cricket.
So cricket was happening in Ukraine, and then you introduce us in the beginning to a person, a character in the book, but a real person from South Africa. Yes, is it Corbus Olivier?
Corbus Olivier, yeah.
So he was another founder, even though it was around. But I was really interested. So he not from Ukraine, but he was kind of escaping cricket in a way to do something else.
He'd always been a kind of a professional cricket coach. So in his youth, he was quite a famous in the world of cricket. He'd worked in places like Dubai and Kenya, Netherlands, as a cricket coach, and that was his life, absolutely his life. He had a bit of midlife burnout. And he was kind of like, I'm sick of cricket. I don't want to play cricket anymore. I'm sick of, the sport. So he chose the part of the world where he thought there would be no chance of coming across any cricket at all. But I guess anyone in the room who's like tried to kind of not played a hobby for a while or had to give up something they love, before long it catches up with you. So he arrived in Kiev wanting to kind of just, take a break from cricket, but if it's your passion, your love, he wanted to play it again.
There's a great part in the book, though. Also, it's that it's almost like he's teaching a class, and is it that he's trying to get them to understand or pay attention?
It was kind of he was struggling as a teacher, and his kids weren't listening to him, and it was a bit awkward, and it wasn't working out as a teacher. So I think he was like, kind of, okay, well, enough of sitting in a classroom. We'll go into the sports hall, we'll go into the gym, I'll throw balls at you and you can catch them. And as you're catching, you can answer the question. So in a school in Kiev, like that became the English lessons, that instead of just sitting in a classroom learning kind of, rigidly, he would go in and make it into part of the sport.
It's a great story in the book, if you get a chance to read it, where you have this person who's going somewhere to, put something behind them. It was a big part of their life. I don't want to do cricket anymore, trying to do something differently, working with young people, teaching. And then it's like through the struggle, almost has to go back to cricket or uses it. And it's the thing that then excites the students and gets them involved and kind of starts this whole community.
I think writing the book and researching the book, this idea came up with everyone I spoke to time and time again, that cricket or any kind of sport is not just about hitting a ball, throwing a ball, that kind of, not just the game. it's about what sport can do for you. So if you're feeling homesick in a foreign place, you can get together to play cricket and kind of do something familiar and socialize. Later in the book, there's a group of Ukrainian refugee children who arrived in Croatia, of all places. And as a way for them to kind of get some exercise and see their friends, they could play some cricket. So it was really... another one was a church leader who, to bring his congregation in Ukraine together, he taught them cricket. So after sermons, they would go and play cricket and to kind of bond and become closer. So, yeah, writing the book kind of taught me that it's not just a game. It's actually, it can really help make people's lives easier.
Well, speaking of Croatia, obviously in the book you talk about how cricket started in Ukraine and how Ukrainians took it on as something that they were passionate about. But of course, you're writing the book a year ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So you're writing it a year into the war.
I think I finished writing it after I think the war had been going on for 2 years when I finished writing, if that makes sense.
So there's obviously inevitably then you're interviewing these people, and then a huge part of the book goes into the journey that these people went on in the war and how they coped, how cricket became a part of that sometimes in an unexpected way. Sometimes it didn't. So speaking of Croatia, I mean, you've got some amazing, harrowing stories in the book. I was particularly moved by the story of people having to walk through the underground for 14 miles. This was in Ukraine still. But Anna, you say, is the world's most unlikely cricket obsessive. Can you tell us a bit about her and how she became connected to cricket in Croatia?
So Anna is the best way to describe her. Utterly gorgeous, like a true Ukrainian woman, and a young mother. And she arrived in Croatia as kind of as a refugee, and didn't know anyone, just with a young daughter kind of with her. And she suddenly discovered little games of cricket in the park in Zagreb, where they moved to. And this sort of ultra glamorous Ukrainian lady who before had never seen cricket played in her life found these games, and that in an instant became her major passion. She fell in love with the game completely. She, at home at night, kind of taught herself to become a coach. So she learnt the rules to become a coach. And she ended up organising little kind of cricket games for the refugee children in Croatia, which for the kids meant that they could just exercise, socialise, see their friends, and kind of all these young kids had escaped war zones. So they'd seen horribly traumatic things. They'd left their fathers behind, left their homes and schools and everything behind, arrived in Croatia, didn't speak the language, but they were allowed to just be children finally. So they'd arrived, they were safe, and they were children. They wanted just to kind of run around and just be children. So the games of cricket that Anna organised allowed them to just be themselves. Meanwhile, the parents, the mothers, who themselves had obviously fled the war zone and had been through some horrible things, on the sidelines, kind of around the games, they were able to get together. And these evenings, they were able to kind of like just speak between themselves, share knowledge, counsel each other, help each other out. So what began as just little games of cricket became something much bigger. It was kind of a Ukrainian community, trauma counselling, PE for children, all in one. And led by, I think, the person in the world who you would least think would be a cricket nerd, basically.
It's a lovely section of how the book kind of transitions to these people's experiences when the war began and what they do, what they have to do, how they survive, where they go, and then how kind of cricket comes back into the fold. And what I love is one of the things we'll do in the second half is I always like to play games and do different things. And there's a great description in this book of Victorian parlor games, which I think is just hilarious and absurd. But it talks about games and storytelling and, whether it's art or sport, being a means for us to, being a really important part of being human, and whether that be connecting or even just, there's a section in the book where you kind of mirror in the text. Somebody talks about some of the things they've learned from cricket, and then they talk about these harrowing experiences in the war, and then that line gets repeated later on. And I actually find that quite a moving chapter, because it starts in this lighthearted way of these lessons that they've learned in cricket, and then they start talking about the sort of realities of the war and the situation that they're in, and then those quotes you put them in again, and it's almost like this echo while you're reading it. So it's a very really moving section. Actually, tell us who's on the cover of the book.
That is the guy you're talking about. So his name is Alexander Romanenko, who is the team's wicketkeeper. And before the war, he lived a totally normal life just outside Kiev. He just started a business connected with fire safety. He had a girlfriend and life as anyone else. When the war began, everything changed, and in a day, his whole life changed. He signed up for the territorial defense, and found himself before long kind of on the front lines as a sniper. Oh, sorry, it's quite emotional talking about it. But he was the guy that, when I was talking to him, he was telling me how much cricket had taught him. So it taught him values like teamwork and courage, clear thinking, kind of life skills. But he never thought that he would use these skills carrying a rifle kind of at the front of a war zone. So it's just absolutely amazing young man, and kind of one of the big stories of the book.
What's the theme of the book?
There's a few that I've sort of thought of as I was writing. I think for me the big one is the role that cricket can play in people's lives as a comfort. I think, be it as the young Indian guys arriving in Ukraine in the 90s, feeling a million miles from home, not knowing the language, freezing cold winters, and cricket allowed them to just a bit of comfort, I guess. The idea of the refugee children who otherwise wouldn't have been able to exercise, otherwise wouldn't have had any friends to spend time with. The refugee mothers who needed these cricketing evenings to kind of just decompress and let things out and talk. I would say the main theme is just how what cricket can mean to people beyond just having a hobby.
You've said before, because I've researched you, that one goal I just thought this was beautiful. One goal with the book is to give these people a place in cricket history. And because there was something about, so Ukraine, the people who were involved in cricket in Ukraine before the war had a mission to join the ICC, which stands for
the International Cricket Council.
There you go. And they were very close to getting there. And you tell that story in the book, and then it was denied. And then they lost everything.
Yeah, so they were... There's obviously the very, very best countries in the world, the kind of England, India, Australia, play at the highest level. Ukraine, the national team, was like a fraction of an inch away from becoming the world's worst cricket team. But nonetheless, they would have become an international team, a recognised sort of, they would have played international games and people would have known about them. And that was the result of years of work and, real sacrifices, and a lot of progress was just shattered by the invasion. And I just want to, these guys will never have, I can't even think, their games will never be on the TV, or they'll never have kind of their names in the record books, and they will never be able to say they are international sports people. And I just want to give them, in this book, their part of cricketing history, because I think that it's one thing to be a world-class global megastar cricketer if you've been given lots of money and you have all the coaches and the network to do it. But if you've learned cricket playing in an allotment outside Kiev, I just think it means more if you have to kind of go through that to realise your dream.
Have you been able to send it to any of the people in the book?
Most of them. The post being the post. I sent Alexander a copy about a month ago and it hasn't arrived yet, but so they're all in the post. I also, for a kind of a goal of the book, is to, in a really niche way, let people in the UK know about Ukraine. Because I think that we switch on the news right now and the images we see from Ukraine are the burned out buildings, the association of the war and the suffering. But I lived there, and it was, for 3 years, was my home, and I want people to know that Ukraine is a living, breathing culture, and there's 40 million different stories in Ukraine and people who I want that to be what people think about when they hear about Ukraine.
I think it's a really brilliant vehicle for people, because for someone like me, if this was just a cricket book, I wouldn't pick it up. Nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't draw me. And so because it had this interesting angle, I got to learn a bit about cricket. If you don't know anything about cricket, it's still really interesting. It's not like you're going, what's going on in the book? But also it just gives you you spoke about, I think in another interview, the aspect of, this is just one group, and there could be the flower arranging group in Ukraine, or the, acting troupe, or whatever the different groups are, but this is one community, and this is their story, and it's really beautiful. I just want to ask you one more question. Did anything change, like when you had the idea to write the book, and then you obviously got so much more from all the research and talking to anybody? Was there anything that surprised you or changed in the writing of the book?
So I obviously got quite close to all the players. So we had lots of like WhatsApp chats and Zoom calls and stuff, and I got to know them pretty well, and they became friends of mine and big parts of my life. So as I was living my day in England, I'd be keeping in touch with these guys in Ukraine, and they, I like them all a lot. They're wonderful people. Until one of them exposed himself as a massive sort of Putin supporter, very pro-Russia, pro-Kremlin. So someone who I'd shared hundreds of WhatsApp voice notes and, Facebook friends, the rest, and actually really let into my life as kind of a confidant, as a friend. I got little nudges from friends to say, just check his social media. And I guess that was my lesson at the age of, 38 then, that just people aren't always as they seem.
Well, we won't. I mean, you have to read the book to find out who it is.
To find out who.
But the thing is what's really interesting is that I'm, in a way, that's an interesting perspective, because that's the journey of the book. You don't really know who that is, or that's going to happen, and then it kind of pops into the middle of the book, and it's a complex world, and we all get our information in different ways, and it really confused me, obviously, when I read it. And so, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. But check it out in the book. The last thing I want to ask you is something that we do here that I want to encourage everyone here to think about, is something which is basically, how are you finding connection and community in the coming week? But the whole kind of theme of this podcast is creative ways that we're finding connection and community. Obviously, this is one of them, but it could be going for a walk with your son in the park. Could even be, I'm going to leave my phone at home for the afternoon so that it forces me to actually make eye contact with human beings instead of looking at my screen. It could be, I'm going to ask, my barista their name for the first time in 2 years, whatever. And we call that a parish notice. So do you have any parish notices for us?
I do, and you've said mine. So
say it again.
I've not just recently, but always been just stuck to my phone, and it's not cool. It's become a bit of a problem. My screen time. So recently, with it feels like a good week not to be reading the news constantly.
Just Sorry for all the newspapers on the tables. You can just ignore them.
But I just felt kind of this week was a really good opportunity, just like to not be on my phone all the time. So I've been going for walks without it, literally just kind of looking up and appreciating kind of being in the countryside, and you feel so much better. Just walking to the village for a coffee, just to kind of like hear your footsteps, just be in your own kind of head. So yeah, last few days just kind of like put my phone down, left it at home. When I got back, nothing major had happened that couldn't have waited. So I've been just trying to just be a bit more present.
Well, thank you so much, Jonathan. Let's give Jonathan a round of applause. In each show, we like to hear how you are fostering connection and community. We call this a parish notice.
My name is Hamid, but normally my connection is like most of the time going to the gym and playing cricket, and also like social events. I think those are some important places that you can create the connection.
Hi, my name's Thomas Brayford. In the next couple of weeks, I'm helping to arrange an event in Parliament to mark the 1,000 days since the full-scale invasion in Ukraine. So lots of MPs coming along and lots of important people in Ukrainian society.
My name is Halina. I'm Ukrainian. Every Sunday we, with my Ukrainian friends, go for yoga in the morning, like really early morning. And after this, we have like nice breakfast together, only in our circle, and can support each other and have really good start for next week. So it's something valuable for all of us to have this something for like each self, like yoga for our body, like for health, for well-being, and live communication, and it's like mental hugs, I can say.
Hi, I'm Wendy, and I live in Soho. And actually, Soho is a fantastic place for making connections. And this, where we are now in Sacred Grounds, is fantastic. Has become a fantastic community venue where people come and have a coffee, and you might meet a friend here. You might meet someone new, and make connections.
Soho resident Bob Morgan hails from the county of Middlesex, west of London. He's a jazz and classically trained instrumentalist and composer, playing clarinet and saxophone. Bob started composing for the theatre age 16 and then went on to study both classical music and jazz at Leeds Conservatoire, specializing in composition, clarinet, and saxophone. His theatre work became interspersed with multimedia performances and more popular styles. He has continued to write music to dramatic forms from Shakespeare to the avant-garde. Give Bob a round of applause. And to my right, born in Bogota, Colombia, Diego Laverde Rojas is a harpist whose work is focused on promoting the traditional music of the Colombian Venezuelan plains, but also on expanding his repertoire and knowledge in mainly Latin American rhythms. Ah, there they are. He's been living in London for over 20 years, and from this city, he has expanded his artistic work as an instructor at harp festivals throughout the United Kingdom and Europe, as well as performing as a soloist and being part of musical groups and projects in the UK. Please give a warm round of applause and enjoy the unique and delightful blend of sound and rhythm of Bob and Diego.
This song, as far as I'm concerned, is called Tickety Boo because that's the rhythm of the chorus. Well, it has a proper title, I believe. What's it called?
Well, Negra Tomasa. Was the name of a woman called Tomasa.
Tomata.
Tomasa.
Oh, Tomasa.
Tomasa. Yeah. Tomasa. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Amazing. Diego and Bob, everybody. Give them another round of applause. Very good. Okay, it's time to get to know our audience a little bit with a round of our classic game, Hat Tricks. Now, there's a link to cricket, which was kind of coincidental because this is a game that we've played before. The term hat trick originated in cricket in the mid-19th century. It was first used to describe the feat of a bowler taking 3 wickets on 3 consecutive deliveries. In recognition of his achievement, it became customary to award the bowler with a hat, often provided by the cricket club or fans, hence the name hat trick. Now, over time, the term expanded beyond cricket and is now used in various sports like football and hockey to describe a player scoring 3 goals in a single game, and officially used at variety shows such as The Big Smoke to describe popular audience participation games. So, it's time to play Hat Tricks. All right, so I'm going to need our 3 contestants to please come to the stage. We have Jonathan, Anne-Marie, and Simon. Welcome, Simon, Anne-Marie, and Jonathan. Let's start by giving them a warm round of applause just to get them comfortable. Now, this is how hat tricks works, okay? Basically, you're playing to win some gorgeous, we've got hats, I think there's a couple of scarves. Hattopia has provided us with some lovely prizes. So you're gonna earn something here if you perform a hat trick. Now, in order to score a hat trick and win a prize, you have to achieve 3 things. The first one is pretty easy. So Simon, you're gonna go first. Tell us your name and 3 words to describe yourself.
My name is Simon Buckley, and my 3 words were short, sympathetic, and witty.
Ah, very nice. Short, sympathetic, and witty. You've done number 1. There you go. You only need 2 more to score a hat trick here. So number 2, you're going to answer a true or false question about cricket.
Oh.
True or false? The longest cricket match on record lasted for 9 days. True or false?
Not a clue, but I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't true.
It is in fact true! Hey! Give them a round of applause. The longest cricket match on record was a test match between England and South Africa in 1939, which lasted 9 days before it ended in a draw. So nobody even won. Okay, so we've got 2 out of 3, everybody. So now here's the last one. In order to score a hat trick, please share with us 2 truths and a lie, and we will try to guess which one is the lie.
First one is, I have a gold medal in Latin American dancing.
Oh.
Second one is, I have climbed Mount Fuji.
Oh.
And the third one is, I have doubled as the legs of Joanna Lumley.
Okay, so the first one, I always forget them, but remind us.
So I have a gold medal in Latin American dancing.
Okay, so raise your hand, or give us a cheer, actually, if you think that one is the lie. Gold medal in Latin American dancing. Give us a cheer if you think that one's the lie. Oh, everybody, they fancy you a dancer. Very nice. The second one, tell us again.
I have climbed Mount Fuji.
Oh, yes, climbed Mount Fuji. Give us a cheer if you think that's the lie. Okay, about 2 or 3 people. And finally, the last one.
I have doubled as the legs of Joanna Lumley.
Doubled as the legs of Joanna Lumley. Give us a cheer if you think that one's the lie. Okay, so the majority think that's the lie. Is that in fact the lie?
The lie is, I've only climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, not Mount Fuji.
Oh
so
my
I
God.
have doubled as the legs of Joanna Lumley.
I mean, I feel like we could spend a long time finding out about that, but maybe we'll save that for after the show. Give Simon a round of applause.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, get ready because we've got Anne-Marie here. Everybody give a round of applause for Anne-Marie. Do you guys think Anne-Marie will score a hat trick? No. Oh, there's not much confidence in you, Anne-Marie. Okay, so first thing, tell us your name and 3 words to describe yourself.
My name is Anne-Marie, and my 3 words are compassionate, stubborn, and enthusiastic.
Compassionate, stubborn, and enthusiastic. Nice combination. How much do you know about cricket?
Nothing.
Nothing about cricket. True or false? Cricket is older than the United States of America, with records of the game being played in England as early as the 16th century.
True?
True. It is true indeed! Cricket has roots dating back to at least the 16th century in England, making it older than the United States by a couple of centuries. Very good. Now let's see if she can perform a hat trick. Give us your 2 truths and a lie, Anne-Marie.
So, my first of the 2 truths and a lie is that I used to be able to perform a double axel which is a jump that you do during ice skating,
Ooh, yeah,
which is
that's a
2.5 turns in the air.
She used to be able to do 2.5 turns in the ice skating double axel. Okay.
The second one is that I own over 30 plants, indoor plants.
30 indoor plants.
And the last one is that there is a song publicly available that is about me.
A song available that is about Anne-Marie. So number 1 is the double axel. Give us a cheer if you think, nah, she could never perform a double axel. Oh, they're very confident in your athletic prowess. There was 0 cheer, or they just don't want to be mean. Number 2, which was...
I own over 30 plants.
Do you think she owns over 30 plants? Give us a cheer. Kind of a half guess. Okay, and the last one, remind us again.
Is that, let me remind myself, there's a song written about me.
There's a song written about her. Give us a cheer if you think that is a lie. Oh, so
I just tell 3 truths,
okay.
apparently.
So the one is that we don't believe you have 30 plants. What is the lie?
What is the lie? I used to be able to jump a double axel.
That is a lie.
That is a lie.
She never could jump a double axel. You were too kind to her.
You're too nice to me.
Give her a round of applause. Oh my gosh. Okay, last but not least, do we think Jonathan will perform a hat trick? The cricket player himself. Tell us your name and 3 words to describe yourself.
My name is Jonathan, and I've gone out of context for insecure, curious, and brave.
Insecure, curious. I like that. Insecure, curious, and brave. It's like everybody's complex. I love it. Jonathan, true or false? The 39th law in cricket is about being stumped, but the 40th law is the law of timed out. Now, it states that a new batsman must be ready to face the next ball within 4 minutes of the previous batsman's dismissal. True or false?
False.
You're correct. It is false. Give him a round of applause. Let me tell you. Do you know? 3.
3, okay.
It is, okay, so I was trying really hard to trick. It's in fact 3 minutes. So though rarely enacted, if the new batsman is not ready to face the next ball, like change over, within 3 minutes, the fielding team can appeal and the new batter can be declared out without even facing a delivery. Tell us 2 truths and a lie, and let's see if you've done a hat trick.
So I've lent into the Ukraine theme, and I'm going to give you 2 truths of things that I have done in Ukraine. So the first one is have an Ethiopian meal with a snow blizzard snowing outside. The second one is rock out at a Mick Jagger concert. And the third one is swim in the ocean with dolphins.
Cheer if you think the lie is Ethiopian dinner with a snowstorm outside. Oh, that sounds true. Well, is that your cheer? Give it, make nice and loud. Be strong with your cheer. Okay, nobody really, one person thinks that's a lie. Cheer if you think rocked out to a
Mick Jagger concert.
Mick Jagger, Rolling Stones. Some people think that's the first concert I ever went to. I was 11 years old. That's my truth. Didn't go by myself. But anyways, number 3 was, remind us again.
Swam in the ocean with dolphins.
I think most people are thinking that. Give us a cheer if you think that's a lie. Swam in the ocean with dolphins. Most people think that's the lie. So which one was the lie?
It was a Paul McCartney concert.
Oh! It seemed fishy because would you say a Mick Jagger concert or would you say Rolling Stones? I just want to tell you a little bit about Hatopia. So first of all, Anil Kasemi, who's sitting in the back there in the maroon, is a lovely entrepreneur who this is his company. Now, if you're interested, I think it's the 2nd episode of the podcast. It's called Change in Muddy Waters is the name of the podcast. And Anil is one of the guests. And he has an incredible, beautiful story of his journey from Afghanistan to here that I really recommend you listening and getting to know him a little bit. So since he came on the podcast, he's joined our team. You can see his logo over there, Hatopia. Since launching Hatopia in 2023, they have sold over 1,000 hats to 27 countries and maintained 100% positive feedback on eBay. They believe in providing opportunities for workers both here in the UK and in Afghanistan. Every day, Hatopia expands with new products. Driven by the desire to create opportunities and bring about positive change, leaving Afghanistan has only fueled Anil's determination to continue as an entrepreneur. Also, I should mention, and we'll give him a big round of applause for this, he's a recent eBay for Business Award winner.
So not only do they have, gorgeous hats, but it's for a really good cause. And so if you're interested in checking them out, there's flyers on your tables, but it's Hatopia, HATOPIA.co.uk is the website, or you can find them on Instagram at Hatopia_UK. Okay. Recommend check them out. Good time of year, good Christmas present. So one more time for hat tricks, everybody. Our 3 contestants. All right, Bob and Diego, it's time for a few more songs. You guys good to go?
We're going to play something a bit more romantic. I remember one of the first times that I met Diego, and we played this tune at the party, and when we'd finished, somebody at the back of the room said, I'm in love. So if you're not in love after this, I shall want to know why.
Who's in Love?
Do another one?
Yes, please. I was just saying, who's in love?
Yes.
Oh, beautiful.
This one, Diego will have to tell you about San Rafaelito because I have no idea what this is about. But it's a Colombian tune.
It's just in general, this type of harp is very common in one beautiful area between Colombia and Venezuela, where we share the same music, the same culture. The only difference is one part it's called Venezuela and the other part is called Colombia. And we have certain kind of rhythms that they belongs now for the tradition, and this is one of them. This is used. This type of song is common for improvisation, for singing, for dancing, and is the name of an angel, San Rafaelito. Yep.
There you go.
Okay. Okay.
Diego and Bob, everybody. Give them a big round of applause. Thank you very much. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. Before you guys go, do either of you have a parish notice you'd like to share? Anything you're doing to find connection and community in the coming weeks?
There is a strange story that happened to me. I was just turning into Mead Street the other day, and I thought I saw Fiona, who's one of the local ladies of Soho, of which some are here tonight. And so I walked up to her, and as I peered around at her face, I realised it wasn't her. So I turned the corner and continued my journey on Mead Street, and the first person I bumped into was Fiona.
Oh, you manifested her.
I did. Yes.
So think of the people you want to see, and you might see them out in the streets. Beautiful.
Yep. I'm just looking forward because I was born in Colombia, and I'm going to visit one of my cousins that she just moved from Colombia to Poland. So it's gonna be. It will remind me when I arrived here. My first years is trying to set up here. So I'm gonna see what's her situation. So I'm looking forward to see that, and it's gonna be my first time in Poland. So it's gonna be very interesting to me.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Diego and Bob, everybody.
Did you solve the crossword puzzle clue? The Daily Mail, 6 letters, a film or piece of music that is a more modern version of the original. And the answer is remake. R-E-M-A-K-E, remake.
We've been stumped!
It's that time again. Victorian parlor games. All games, from the Roman gladiatorial battles to a quiet round of cards or charades, are imitations of real-life situations. The activity of playing games is the expression of an instinct, for play is far older than culture, older even than prehistory. So here's our offering to you, a way to connect with your friends and family and have a bit of fun. Now, in cricket, a sniff is a delivery that bounces so close to the nose of the batsman they can smell the ball. It's also something you do in today's Victorian parlor game, smells. This game needs to be prepared beforehand. You need a number of small vessels, cups, glasses, or jam jars, each containing one substance that gives off an odor. Shoe polish, some vinegar, some kerosene, a piece of apple, some custard powder. The list of available substances is almost endless. Needless to say, substances such as orange, gasoline, ammonia, etc., which have a highly characteristic odor, should not be used. Players are sent out of the room, and one by one they re-enter to be blindfolded. Each dish is then presented to the player's nose, and they must guess what it contains. When their attempts are finished, they stay to watch the fun as the other members of the party try their luck. And luck it usually is, as will be demonstrated to any who play this game. Strawberry jam, for instance, can, when not seen, be quite easily mistaken for cleaning fluid, lemonade, or even hairspray. I love this game because not only is it fun, but it's really easy to prepare. All you need is a blindfold and various things to smell. You can set it up in different ways, multiple people being blindfolded at once, or even adding a tasting element to it. The obvious can be absurd in the most unexpected ways. Like one time when I played it, and the guesser was smelling children's Play-Doh, they thought it smelled like a condom. Well, that's all for today's episode. Those Latin jazz tunes were so catchy and unique, and I'm really honored to have had the opportunity to read Getting Out and speak to Jonathan. The tragedy of those people and their passion being almost erased from the planet entirely is heartbreaking. And Jonathan's act of simply putting their stories down in print gives them a place in cricketing history, makes them exist. If you'd like to find out more, I encourage you to order the book. You'll find a link in the podcast show notes. Some of the proceeds from our live recording went to Ukraine Charity. Their mission is to support humanitarian initiatives for children and vulnerable people in Ukraine. You'll find a link to their work in the podcast show notes as well. Thank you for listening.
Well, so long until we meet again. I'm so glad that you were here, my friends. And the time may be fast, but good friendships will last. So long until we meet again. Good night, everybody.